Just one of these times. Let's do this right. Hello, and welcome to Scott's Odyssey. One of these times, I'm going to get this software to work correctly with YouTube. And then YouTube's going to change its policies again so that I have to learn the software all over again. That's what happens every one of these times. Anyway, hey everybody, how you doing? I already see that Mrs. Marnie's in there. She's already probably halfway through the popcorn. Everyone doing good? Give me some chats. That's how we do this. I talk to you, you talk to me. I know there's a delay. I'm trying to see how long it is. Ugh, the dead air time. I hate that. We gotta fix that. We gotta fix that. All right. Lower than the recommended, but it's doing okay. Just trying to see what the statistics are saying on the numbers right here. Okay, so the purpose of this particular live stream this time is to talk about, of course, as always, whatever you guys want to ask me that you can't ask me when you're watching the videos. But this one's specific to hit 7Gates of Hell, POBox1142, and the Pennsylvania Giants. Oh, and let me know what you think of the new little circle logo and the change of the way I type out Odyssey in the branding. I want to hear from you guys more than anybody. Are we doing too much of a lag here? Looks kind of okay. I see we got 13 people hanging out. I see Girl Gamer Gear. Who else we got in the chat? Roger. Amazing Pennsylvania. I really appreciate you stopping by. Hey, congratulations on the growth of your channel. It's absolutely spectacular. I mean, you go into more holes than I do, and half the holes you go into I wouldn't fit through, and the other half of them I probably wouldn't go into because it's sketchy. So you keep yourself safe there, bud. Hey, Brian. You got chips and dip. Nice. You have to bring the popcorn. Mrs. Barney brings popcorn for everybody. At least that's what she's telling us. If you guys don't know who Amazing Pennsylvania is, he's a YouTuber who started he's a YouTube creator who started around the same time as I do. He's gone a couple different directions, but he's kind of gotten hardcore with his focus in hitting the old Pennsylvania mines, coal mines up in the northeast section where he's around. I suggest going out and checking him out because he goes into some pretty sketchy places, but he finds some amazing abandoned things in those places. And if I say any more, then there's no reason to go visit him and watch his videos. Hey, Raptor. Hi, Amy. All right, so I'll do a refresh. I am on a lag, and I don't know how much the lag is. According, I'm hearing from a voice in the background, which could be my dog or it could be my wife. Don't know. My dog's very smart, that it's a 10 to 12 second lag. So try to be patient with me when asking questions or when I respond. So again, this particular live session, we were looking at 7Gates of Hell. Any questions you guys have about that one? POBox1142, Giants of Pennsylvania. If you wouldn't mind leaving me comments about the logo and the banner shifts, that would be cool too. let's see what happens. 7Gates to Hell, let me tell you, that one, I was dying to go out to the site, and I really, it was going to be no holds bar, and I was possibly, but deniably, plausibly not going to violate any trespass laws by doing it. But I really wanted to see what people have been seeing and claiming to see for all these decades about when twilight comes around or when darkness comes around, actually going out there and experiencing different things and hearing different things. But I have a person who I'd like to consider a friend, and that's Running into History. And he actually is very familiar with that area, and he's familiar with a lot of people in that area. And I also contacted law enforcement in that area, and they're constantly going out there just chasing kids off the property who are trying to find something. But you know how it is. They jump a fence and they leave more than footsteps behind. You know, they will spray paint, leave beer keggers, have kegger parties in the woods, stuff like that. And because of that, the cops are constantly being called to come out and pick stuff up. There's also a couple of logging companies back there that have heavy equipment, and the kids get back there and they mess around with the heavy equipment. So I didn't get a chance to actually go down. But he being Running into History, actually ran out there and did a drive-by shooting with his camera for me to grab a little bit of footage so I could actually tell you the story about the 7Gates to Hell. It's really neat how that stuff all comes together over time. And with what I was discovering in the history books, with the stories, it all seems to go back to Downingtown. I almost said Doylestown. Doylestown has its own stories of Blueberry Hill. But yeah, going out to Downingtown would be interesting, but the site there, there's nothing to see except for, well, we'll possibly do a show on that, so I'm not going to talk about that one. But that seems to be where the origin of the story happened. And I really have to dig hard, and I'm going to have to reach out to like the maybe the Historical Society. Most likely I'll go down the route of Genealogical Society and find out more to the origin of the gates to hell of Downingtown that led to the 7 Gates of Hell in, what was that location? That's pretty bad. Spent all that time doing it, and I try to erase it almost immediately from my brain so I can get focused on the next subject. I'm looking here. We got, yes, Roger, Centralia. So Centralia, when I first went there, was, I don't know, probably 2 decades ago, and it was completely different than the one that I went to a decade ago, and completely different than the one I went to 7 years ago. It's changed completely. Yes, Hallam, Roger. Hallam and Hallam. Roger caught up to my forgetting what it was. Well, you can't just say York County, because York County is one of them counties in Pennsylvania where it's like you could be in one of the worst parts of Philadelphia, and then you could be close to here at the ODDySEEy HQ, and that's all within York County. So Padunkadunk, nowhere, Pennsylvania, and the worst part of an inner city at the same time. York County has both of them. Just like not Pittsburgh itself, but just east of Pittsburgh, there's a little town before you start going onto the highway to go through the tunnels, and it too is like country. Then it's city armpit. It has both of those within a couple of blocks of each other. So I don't do the whole York County thing, but yes, Hallam in Hallam. No, Hallam is in Hallam. So Hallam in York County. Centralia now is just, it's not even like a park, because nothing grows there. I know it gets some grass, but it doesn't get tall weeds. Nobody's mowing it. Almost everything is like sand Would you agree with that, Leg? It's just sandy. Everything is. It's so sandy. There's a lot of stones coming off of trucks. They don't sweep the area except for the main highway that runs through it. So there's not a lot of fun stuff there. I still need to get back out there and finish doing a video on that. And I have a whole lot of footage of when it was still pretty neat to see. And I have tons of photography that was done by me when I went there 7-8 years ago. The only thing is we have to think hard and long about obscuring particular anatomical parts that were spray painted onto everything. If it had 2 legs, it had 3 legs. And that was everything. And there's a lot of drone footage that I have from down there. And I don't just mean my drone wanting to fall out of the sky because a tornado ripped through in the middle of filming. There was that. Yes, there was that. Everything was perfect, and then boom, it was upside down, and I was sweating. And I went, no, everybody just help me get this one back. We just brought Aeola's back. POBox1142, did it have coders and decoders? Yes. POB1142 actually was where the Enigma machine was taken to, which was a big time part of the whole coding decoding process. Granted, that was toward the end of the war, but in the earlier part of World War II, POBox1142 specifically hired a ton of female workers who were stateside who were good at math, and used them to figure out whether or not the codes were legit. If they weren't legit, there was an interesting article I was reading about one of the ladies that worked for the coding department in POB1142 stated that some of the guys that worked with her were, she said something to the effect of dumber than a chalkboard because they didn't see what was obvious in the code. And it turned out that it was the whole male versus female male role versus female role in the marital relationship for different points of view on how to approach something. And the guys couldn't figure out how the Germans were doing something, and they were just doing something in a manner that these women who came from a married home were like, well, this is the way we do this with our housework or what have you. And that gave them the edge that they needed to actually figure out how to do the decoding for, I think it was before the Nazis started using the actual machine to do the coding for them, when they were still crossing it over on paper. Graffiti Highway. Graffiti Highway was the best part of the story's good for Centralia. It does occur more than you realize in Pennsylvania. Centralia is not the only one that was shut down. There's actually a whole nother town that was shut down for the same reason and is still burning, and that's out further west. And that's got a slightly different story, and it's just north of the town of Yellow Dog, another abandoned town in Pennsylvania, but it's currently owned by a guy who wants to charge a whole lot of money for you to go out and do photographs and history on it. But Graffiti Highway, yes, I'll be bringing you a video with a lot of really good footage of Graffiti Highway before it was covered up. Most of it will be stills, and the drone footage will be something that was provided to me by another friend who has a YouTube channel, who he and I we got together a couple of times to go out for a couple of locations, and then he went back to the mainstream world and came away from the YouTube a little bit, but he afforded me the footage to use in an upcoming video. Not immediately upcoming. Yeah, as far as the owner getting mad, there was a little bit more going on than that. The COOF pandemic thingy that came through, it created a situation where there were a lot of people who never got out of the house and lived in mommy and daddy's basement. And that's subjective. I don't really know if they lived in their mother and father's basement. But anyway, these people that normally never went out of the house and never really did anything on their own believed that they could go out now that there was a pandemic, and if they wore a mask, they could go anywhere they wanted. And one of the things that I was running into, especially when I had my wife along with me, I normally would go and hit an abandoned site or an old forgotten site, and the only time you would possibly see someone there is if they didn't hear you sneak in like they had snuck in. And these people that were coming out of mommy and daddy's basement, they were just traipsing into no trespass areas. They were destroying everything. One of the things about the urbexers, when an urbexer goes out, they typically go out with a camera or a video camera. They find a way in. You take photographs of what nobody gets to see and what time destroys and how nature takes things back. And just like somebody walking a trail that's never been tread in 100 years, you take nothing and you leave nothing behind except for footsteps. And that's an unspoken but heavily followed rule with urbexers. Well, late 2020, all of 2021, and most of 2022 saw these people that thought these were amusement parks. And they were going out, they were doing destruction, they were stealing so much. So many of these houses, they were coming in, they were salvaging copper, but they didn't know what to do with it. They were just stealing it because they were told it was valuable. They were busting out windows on all these places. So if we look at Graffiti Highway, we ran into a situation where a whole bunch of people started going onto Graffiti Highway with quads, gators, forerunners, and dirt bikes, which was not normal for Graffiti Highway. Graffiti Highway was typically a footpath, a long footpath, but a footpath. And they were tearing up, going up and down, and they didn't care about the people. And then they started having fires and bonfires on the road, on the sides of the road, and the number of police calls for problems went through the roof. People getting hurt, people being found with drug overdose problems along the middle of the highway, the Graffiti Highway. So the township pushed heavily on the coal company's ownership of it to do something about that it was their responsibility to stop people from going there. So that's what made them decide to actually go out and just dump all the truckloads of spoil tip all over to permanently hide Graffiti Highway. Yes, Mrs. Barney, leave no trace. Carry out what you carry in. So much more. Yeah, Light Creations is absolutely right that there were so many places that we went to where we would run into people and they go, "Oh, wow, you do YouTube and you're telling the history. Yeah, I'll subscribe to you and everything." And then they would do some kind of a post on Instagram or TikTok, specifically TikTok, where they would bash running into a boomer. By the way, I'm not a boomer. I'm Gen X. No offense to any boomers. We're just different. Boomers are my parents. I'm Gen X. I unfortunately helped create the Generation Y millennials. No, I didn't do the Z's, though. The Z's are on somebody else. They're not on me. I don't take credit for those. But all these people we'd run into, and we would watch them do things that you just don't do. We ran into some people that seemed really nice when I went out to the what were they called? The Storm Gates, the Westinghouse Storm Gates. We were out there. They seemed really, really nice. And when we started to walk away, they started doing some things that were questionable. And then I didn't watch the rest of the things that they did. But I do know that people went in there and cut all the copper out of the giant magnet machines that they had in there. And it was just, it destroys everything. So when other people go back, all you see is maybe a hunk of metal and a whole bunch of spray paint. But then we found other things like trash, and human waste was everywhere, and that's kind of unusual. So we try to be careful with where we go. There are a handful of videos I've done where people in the comments get really upset with me and they tell me that I'm rude because I apparently am a person who is rude. And even if I am, I don't care what you think. No offense. But but they didn't like the fact that I will not disclose certain locations that I go to. The reason why I don't disclose that information is if you really want to go there, you'll do the appropriate research, find out the appropriate things, and then you can find your way there. And along that path, you also find out, who do I have to ask to go there? And if they tell me no, do I still go there, or do I not go there? Or what do I have to do to get around that situation? And that's important because one of the scary things that's been happening for the past 3 years, these people that have now found out that there's something outside of their home and away from their phones, they've been going to graveyards and cemeteries and just absolutely decimating them, smashing stones that are 200 years old and tearing things up on cemetery and graveyard properties. There's no respect. So, for example, when we talk about Etna Furnace, which was a real fun trip, didn't have to go far from Odyssey HQ, but oh boy, was it difficult to find the lost graveyard. And when I found it, I had so many people saying, hey, where's that at? And is it this way? And is it that way? And I would say, I don't know. Do I know where it is? I know exactly where it is. I'm not going to tell you because nobody needs to be doing bad things there. If you want to know where it is, go visit the Historical Society. Go visit the local genealogists. Go visit the property owners and talk with them and ask them about it and see if you can get permit to go take a picture. And if they say no, respect that. I know that was kind of crazy there. Mrs. Barney, I didn't know that you were a Boy Scout. Yeah, I know that crept all the way out of the question about POB1142, but it is all interconnected. And then it switched over, of course, to Centralia. It always comes back to Centralia. That's one of the jokes that I have with some of the other YouTubers that I talk to, is it always comes back to Centralia. Oh, that trip was so bad. It was so hot. There was so much sweat. The grass was so high. The bugs were horrible. And you need to know something that you don't see when I go out to certain locations. When I'm in the woods or I'm in an abandoned building, I have this really big can of Deep Woods Off with 80% DEET in it. And I take a bath in it before I walk in, especially old abandoned buildings, because people go, oh, well, there's not going to be anything there. Maybe some roaches, right? No, if you want fleas and ticks, go into an abandoned building and you will find more fleas and ticks than you can imagine. And they just love you. They absolutely love you. So make sure you take a bath in DEET. And for your equipment, your bags, and even your handheld equipment, if they got little holes or cracks or anything in them, give them a bath in permethrin. I should actually do like an advertisement for DEET and permethrin to show people the difference between the two of them. Don't put permethrin on your body. That is bad juju. But DEET is bad juju too. So Deep Woods Off is bad for you, but don't put permethrin on you. Put that on your equipment and put the other stuff on you. Okay, let's see. Boys who broke into an abandoned school in Lebanon. They videoed themselves and a fire. That's the other thing. Okay, so there's a handful of websites on Facebook that talk about urban exploration and historical site visitings. And a lot of these guys do the same thing that I do, just under different names. And they keep their faces hidden so that they don't go to jail. So that's why I go the legal route 99.9% of the time. And we'll go into these sites and they'll post their pictures. There are a couple of them where to be a member of the group, you explicitly have to tell people the location that you were at. And that group started about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And what we have seen consistently and persistently is somebody will put up a site, and within a month, it gets set fire to. And what a horrible thing. They set fire to the building, it burns down. Nobody can ever go see it there. It stood for 100, 200 years. And now it's totally destroyed because somebody wanted to go play with matches. So that's why we sometimes keep those sites really quiet with where they're at. So Girl Gamer Gear does graveyarding. Graveyarding is fun. One of the things I was going to do with this channel initially was going to be doing graveyarding. But part of the goal of the channel was to take people places that they won't be able to go to in the future, but they have a video where they could actually see what the exploration is like. And that came from my father having breathing issues when he and I would go out on our adventures. And yes, I still go out on adventures with my father. Now we just stay in a car doing it. But 2 years ago, we'd actually go for a walk and say, hey, I wonder what's over there. And I'd say, oh, well, let's go. And he would say, okay, let's go. We would go and adventure there. But he started running into breathing issues. And I was like, before I reach that point, I should start videoing these places and make it easier for him and say, hey, look, this is what it was like to do this exploration. And here I brought you a rock back. Things along those lines. But what I didn't expect was to have a heart attack on the side of a mountain, or for my diabetes to run into complications, which has significantly hindered my ability to do a lot of those things. But don't worry, there's still going to be on-site visits, which brings up something I want to ask all of you. The shift that's happened in the channel where I'm giving you the video of the sites and photographs of the site and the history of the site, but you're not seeing me at the site. Are you liking that, or do you not like that? Or is it okay or not okay? And while you respond to that, let me see what else is going on here. Terry Mack, Crescent. So you were in prison at Crescent, but you want photos of Crescent. I'm not going to question it, man. To each their own. Yes, I do have a lot more photos of that. Jump over on Facebook, look me up under Scott's Odyssey, hit me up over a direct message. Or if you go back onto the regular channel and you hit the About section, there's a little CAPTCHA. It's going to ask you if you're a robot. Tell it that you're not a robot. If it asks you, I don't know, click all the bicycles into photos, whatever it asks you, and you'll have my email address, and you can send it to me, and we can work something out, and I'll see if I can get those to you. And then I'll give you all the information on how you too, if you wanted to, could actually go out to Crescent for a small fee. Not my fee, their fee. Yeah, the funny thing is the number one thing they grow there, it's a company that specializes in hydroponic fruit, but that's not the number one thing that they're growing hydroponically. If you hear what I'm saying there, I guess you can't hear what I'm saying because I didn't say anything, but let's just say there's a little bit of Mary Jane going on out there heavily. Let's see. Warehouse, Elizabethtown, Middletown years ago. First worked. Thousands of praying mantis over the building. Roger, Lag is the one. Lag Creations is the one who does not like the praying mantis.
Only when I turn around and it's eye to eye with
I love the praying mantis. I've had them crawling all up and down my arms just to show my kids that they don't have to be afraid. There was I wonder, I don't know if my son or daughter has a photo of it or a short video, but I had 6 praying mantis along my arm. And while they were on my arm, I was doing like this with my head. Did you hear my photo if you come out there? I was doing like this. So I took my head and I bobbed it back and forth just to have all the praying mantis start dancing. And the kids thought that was wonderful. I'll post a picture on Facebook of the praying mantis that we found just 2 or 3 days ago. Yeah, the taking good care of myself. A lot of people, when they pass on to the next life, wish to appear before Peter at the pearly gates and be in their robes with their pre-halo haircuts and, you know, their little prayer hands, and everybody looking all clean and pristine. Me, when I show up, I want broken bones. I want to be bleeding, scar, covered in dirt, and laughing at everybody going, wasn't that great? Because once you're over on the other side, hey, everything's perfect. While you're on this side, have fun getting there. Just my opinion. All right, any questions on the Giants? What did you guys think of the Giants? Pennsylvania potentially having Giants and the interference from the powers that be. Anyone have questions about who the powers that be are? I could go on for hours about that one. Or how the institution actually slows everything down sometimes, or how you need to know the difference between scientism and scientists. There's a lot of scientism going on with things today, where you have to realize that those 7'7", that's a giant. Hands down, that's a giant. Anyone I ever have to look up to is a giant. If I have to move my head from this position where I'm eye to eye and I have to look up, you are a giant. I'm not used to that. I make jokes about that with my wife because my wife has a stature that is significantly
be nice.
Not as grand as mine. And I realize short people never look down, and that's where they lose everything. Yet we tall people never look up, and that's where we lose everything. Like people go, oh, on the top of a fridge? No, I can see on the top of a fridge. But if it's higher than that, then we can't see it. And she always wonders, how can you find all these things? And I'm like, because you just never look down. You're always looking up. So anybody have any comments about the logo? When I first started the channel, I didn't have a logo, and YouTube was saying, hey, you need to put a picture of you or your channel right here. And I was like, well, what do I do? So I went into the very first video that I made, which was the only one that I was going to be publishing at that time, and just grabbed a clip, a still frame from a live video. And so I had this like kind of smile, like, and I put it up there and I went, oh, that'll be good enough. And it resized it. And I think it had to crush the height and increase the width. And I think it made me look really goofy. And I made a joke to my wife, and I was like, whatever, who cares? Nobody's going to watch this. And it became my face logo for an extended period of time. And I was thinking about some things about the growth of the channel and the direction of the channel. And I was like, well, I should probably actually get a branding, because I saw my face, that little circle image of my face, showing up on multiple channels that were coming out of India, and one channel that was over in China, where they were using it as if it was their own. And I went, oh, come on. So I needed to make something that was a little bit more professional, but I don't know, it seems a little too crisp. I might alter it one more time. Actually, let me do this. Show you the wonders of computers. Got to move that over there. Switch that to there. We won't switch it to there yet. We're going to switch it to there in a second. Let me get the stuff open first. Over here. All right, now we can do it. So what do you guys like that? It's got the S for Scott, it's got the O for Odyssey, and my favorite part is the actual circle that I put around the outside that has a break in it and a mark. The idea and the concept I was going with was time, because we all do things with time, and everything in this channel always turns into talking about the history. One of the other things I've done is change the ODDySEEy logo. Yeah, it's a little, nobody has this font. This is my font. I created this font. You can't find this font anywhere in the world. I created this, but I've changed the word of ODDySEEy into this facet. I was going a little bit in the, what was in my mind when I was creating it was Blade Runner. And I don't know if it's because it popped up in a dream, but I was like, I kind of like that because it still has all the structure of ODDySEEy, but it has the fading away of something old, something different, something you might not understand. And I took the clock face and put it over there on the left-hand side. Let me see what the comments are here. First, we go back to regular scene, so you're not watching me watch you. So I was trying to get something that more represents the direction that the channel is going and how we keep representing information and history. And it's all about time, whether we go forward or we go backward. It's all about time because I'm always talking about who we once were, because it's a subject I love. Whenever I read books, people go, well, I can't understand what they were saying in Shakespeare. And I go, that's because you're not thinking like a normal person. You're trying to think like, oh, this is British writing from a long time ago. No, just think like normal people. Like if you were on the street, this is how people were interacting. And all of a sudden it gets really funny. Here's another question. In the direction of the channel, I typically have stayed in Pennsylvania with the stories that I'm telling because I was trying to limit the distance that I was traveling until I had finances to go beyond those distances. What ended up happening was I burned my nest egg, and even distances within the state of Pennsylvania have become a little bit limiting. Everything was good with the truck, and all of a sudden, lower ball joint on driver's side needs to be replaced. Some of you might have known that because you might have watched videos where the truck is there and it's making a squeaking noise. Well, the squeaking noise has gotten to a point where, although it passed inspection, and I do not have any pulling on that side yet, there's a good chance sometime in the next anywhere from mile to 100 miles or 1,000 miles, the wheel's just going to fall off. So I need to get to a point to get that fixed up. But all of that, would you guys like to see me expand beyond the state of Pennsylvania with telling ODDySEEy stories of history that still exist? It's going to happen eventually. It's whether it's sooner or later. That's the question I have for all of you. I believe, at least at this time, almost everyone that's commented is in Pennsylvania or from Pennsylvania. By the way, hi, Vicky. Vicky Burke, everybody give her like a little clap. There should be an icon for that. Give her a clap because the Burke family has been a spectacular help to the ODDySEEy in so many different ways. And they're a very fun family. Speaking of which, hey, let's get this guy up. Boom. Put him up. I don't know if it's not up. There, get that up. Put that up later. And I need to make a new one of those. So make sure you go out to the merch store. And if you get some merch stuff, make sure you take a photograph. What I want to do is right now, when you guys jump in to the chat, to the live chats, when they start, you'll see this. And what I want to do is I want to create a little video with all of you wearing a hat or having even holding a sticker or wearing one of the shirts. Let's see. Wearing one of the shirts. And I can create a whole collage where you guys will all show up in the live stream every time. You see that, Vicky? Everybody loves you. You're just wonderful. Thank you so much for you and your family's help all the way through all of these things, the trials and tribulations of the Odyssey. Let's close that. Go back to my list. So nobody has anything that they want to talk about regarding 7 Gates of Hell, POBox1142, the Cartuan Giants, Spanish Hill. Anyone want to tell me what they find funny when when I give these stories in these videos? Things that I say or things that I do? Things that I say or do that annoy you? I'm very interested in hearing it. This is just soda, and it's not sugar-based. It's Coke Zero. Can you purchase a hat like mine? Technically, yes. I'll get a link up for it specifically. This one came directly from Australia. It's called a River Guide hat. It's made of cotton, and it is imbued with what do they call it? It's a specific type of wax that makes it duck back. So, no, you don't get a ponytail on it, Roger. See this ponytail? That's called wisdom. You see its color? That's because I'm a wizard. So, but the hat, yes. I'll get you a link for it, and I'll put it up. I used to have it a long time ago. When the first videos came out. Hey, you like the hat? Go out and buy one. They are pricey, and it took a couple of months before I actually got it. And I bought it because I have a weird affiliation with wearing hats. I like hats. I actually have a really big head. Insert your jokes here. Go ahead, get it out of your system. But I've never, whenever I was in sports, they never had a hat big enough to fit my head. When I was in Scouts, the hats didn't fit my head. They were all too small, even the biggest ones. The military hats, from a military perspective, my hat is 9 1/4. If anyone knows the sizes of a military hat, you'll realize it's a pretty big cranium. This hat actually fit, and it fit really, really well. And it took forever to get. I have other hats, Mrs. Barney, including, if you take a look at the icon for Girl Gamer Gear, got that one too. Always have to have the Fourth Doctor. That's my Doctor Who. Fourth Doctor's hat. Okay, so Vicky Burke said, we got you more green glass. There's going to be something behind me. I hope you like the... This side. I'm looking at a reversed image. I hope you like the little swirly durly there. That's my astronaut. I think it adds to the background to have that swirling light. And then you have what the servant daughter, there it is. She bought me the Scott's Odyssey sign, which is really cool. But something I want in the background is something that I actually collect. And I collect, as Vicky Burke said, green glass. And specifically, it's not green glass, it's Vaseline glass, also known as uranium glass. And the reason why I collect it is because it has uranium in it. So when you take uranium glass and you put it under a black light, it glows intensely. It's not just reflecting the black light in the visible light, it is actually using the infrared light, and it causes the uranium to actually light up and emit a beautiful green color. I'll put a picture of it up on Facebook for anyone who wants to see that. Let's see. Definitely a big head. Yep. Yeah. Okay, Roger. So the bobblehead thing. I just had Leslie watch. One of the people that I like to watch. I really like Mike Rowe. Mike Rowe is a really neat guy. I've been watching him ever since he came out with Dirty Jobs, and I love the fact that his previous life was that of an opera singer, and I have an affinity for music. But I just made her watch today an episode where Mike Rowe is doing his new form of Dirty Jobs on his YouTube channel, and he actually went to Royal Bobblehead, and they talked about how much it costs just to make the first one, what's required to make the first one, and then about how much it costs to make each additional one. I've been looking in the direction of it right now, and when I do it, what I need to find is something that is cost effective and then viably cost effective for you guys. Because I don't want to go, hey, look, you asked for it, here they are, Bobblehead Scott's Odyssey, and you can have your very own for $750 and 9 months shipping and handling out of China. What would be the point? So I am researching it. I'm also researching Funko Pops, which I enjoy those, even though they are not my generation. They're my kids' generation. I like those too. I collect all of my favorite characters with Funko Pops. And at this point in time, my number one, I think he's behind me. He's not behind me. Thought he was behind me, but it's the Fourth Doctor from Doctor Who. So I want to get caricatures of those as well. All right, so I didn't hear anything. Auction one of my hats. No, I can't do that. No, my hats are like somebody else's Beanie Babies, okay? Or maybe somebody's Hummel collection. No, nobody gets my hats. No way. That's crazy. No, I can't do that. I can't part with them. I even have multiples of hats that I wear just a certain way. Yeah, you have to give your, for the bobblehead, it has to go to China. There is nobody in the United States of America that makes anything more than one bobblehead for you. After that, if you wish to have more, you actually have to go through them, and they work directly with companies in China. They'll make a duplicate of the original one. They'll send the duplicate over, and then they'll put them into mass production. And that's how the prices get pulled down from $200 or $300 per bobblehead to more like something in the 60, 70 range. Yes, car decals. Mrs. Barney did mention that. And I haven't put them up yet. So let me make a note to get that over here. And I'll look more into bobbleheads. All right, so I didn't hear about anybody's opinion of what if I expand beyond Pennsylvania? You know what, you think I forgot? I got a list. Girl Gamer Gear, I know that's who you're dressed as. What, you think I friended you because I was like, oh, wow, it's a cool name and she wants to be friends. Everybody needs to know that Girl Gamer Gear, before she changed her name to Girl Gamer Gear, was one of the very first followers of Scott's Odyssey. She was up there along with Roger, and by no means ever to be forgotten, Brian. You will never be forgotten. Some of my very first people, and I had an open conversation with her almost immediately. I was like, oh, "Is that the Fourth Doctor? You're dressed as a Fourth Doctor? Were you going to a Ren Fair? Did you go to a Doctor Who con, or did you go to a Comic-Con?" Because I do have a personality hidden beneath the one that you think you know that goes to things like that. No, I don't cosplay. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. I go to places where people cosplay, but I've never cosplayed at those places, except for Ren Fair. But that's because you have to. That's how you get in with a discount. I hear you, Roger. Anyone else want input on that one? about expanding beyond Pennsylvania. See, one of the key things is because I did, previous to doing all this stuff, I traveled all over the United States all the time. And I have friends, associates, and people who owe me all over the United States. And I can pull on them for certain aspects and certain things to assist me in making sure I can bring you a very interesting story. That's the easy part, is bringing you the story. It's easy for me because I'm fascinated by it, and that's a passion that I have. I can never just look at something and go, oh yeah, whatever. Now I look at it and it'll consume my entire day, sometimes weeks, to research and find out what that stuff actually is. What do we got? Across the border, closer to some state. Yeah, see, Raptor brings up a good point. Maryland, I see your comment, William, about Maryland. Maryland has a couple of interesting places. I'd like to hit Maryland on boat as well. Raptor brings up that there's interesting places. New Jersey has a lot of really interesting places. I have found New York State, not so much. It actually seems like when you go up into the New England area, there are some sites, but most of them are bad. They're bad in the sense of there's no living history left behind. There's a few, but not many. Pennsylvania has a ton, and I can continue in Pennsylvania for probably another 6 years, easily. Maryland has a good handful, especially when you hit the marshes, the parks, and the waterways around Maryland, and some of the old farm fields, especially because there still are remains from Civil War actions in and around Maryland. West Virginia has a handful, not a whole lot. Virginia, most of it's been reburied or dug up and done away with, but there's a handful of places in Virginia. I just found out some place that I was looking forward to in the future taking you all is a place called Foamhenge. It looks like Stonehenge, but it's made of foam, and it's not small. It was full size, but I just found out they tore it down, and I'm so heartbroken. I may just do a video in the near future of that, just as a remembrance video. I almost cried when I found out that they got rid of Foamhenge. Most people that would go to that part of Virginia would be going down to see the land bridge that's down there. And they go, oh, you got to go see the land bridge. And that's all privately owned now, even though it was preserved by Jefferson, who said nothing like this should ever be charged an entrance fee or kept from the citizens of the United States. He's quoted as saying that. Well, it's privatized, and now they want a whole lot of money for you to go walk 2 miles back and see the land bridge. At the same time, though, real close to there was Foamhenge. And oh my word, was it beautiful. It was so beautiful to see that. Let's see, what do we got? Out and about videos would be great. Okay. Yeah, you don't make live creations is correct. Correct. You don't make me do anything. If I want to do it, I'll do it. There's a lot of it just happens, and there's a lot of it just doesn't happen. There's a lot of sites I've been to where when you get out there, you have this expectation. Like if I would have gone down, I would have driven 4 hours to get down and see the 7 Gates of Hell. Would have taken me 4 hours to get down there. Once I was down there, I would have had to find where I was going, because even though I would have coordinates and everything, it might not be good enough, and I'll still have to look around and find where I was going. Once I would get to the fence, I'd have to make a determination of whether or not I was going to trespass. Should you trespass? No, you shouldn't trespass. Never break the law. Unless you have a weird personality type like mine where you question whether a law is a viable law. because, you know, you can't have illegal without having something legal. And then you have the question of, if you have something legal, well, then that means a law was created. And that's just somebody telling you that they want money before you could actually do something that would bother them. Anyway, we could get into that in other discussions, but that's not for the channel. After I would get down there, 4 hours down there, find a place, that's a whole nother hour wasted. I'd begin doing the recording just to find out that there's nothing there. And when you find out that there's nothing there, then you got to do the 4-hour trip back, and you go, all I can do is tell you the history. So there are a lot of sites that we have where there's just a gate, and that makes it difficult. And to what Lag Creations was saying, I do the research to make sure that if there's really nothing there, then it's not going to happen. So the shoe house just outside of Hellam, Roger, the property became no trespass. They don't want anyone on the front of the road ever since it became the modern gentrification bed and breakfast site that it is now. And the only thing I would have been able to do is get down there, park on the road that was part of the borough road a little bit away from it, and then fly my drone over it, which I still probably would have had the cops called on me. And then I'd have to explain to them how they legally can't do anything because I'm within my legal rights according to the FAA and the certification of Part 107, and everything I'm doing is legal and it's okay. And they would say, yeah, but you're bothering people, and we're just trying to stop you from bothering people. But I did get that video for the shoe house. That's also why, oh, let's see. Yeah, the 7Gates is really close. Very, very close. There's actually a couple other sites. If I bring it up, other things that I have down there that I've been toying around with, give me a moment. I have to open up my Google Earth. And when I open up my Google Earth, I'll have to open up my special layer. Let's see. If I open up my special layer, go to shoe house, go there, and then light up my other locations. A lot of times when it comes to these types of sites, I will plan as many as I can together. Let's see. Looking at the shoe house. One of the things down there, one of the videos that's coming out very, very soon is one regarding the Liberty Sisters. That's down at the shoe house, and that's the last Liberty Sister that I need to get. And I actually have someone taking care of that for me right now, so I can actually produce that video. That video has taken me 3 years to get all the information and all of the videography for. Another site down that way, York Barbell Weightlift Hall of Fame, because there's a really great history and a lot of stories that go behind that. That's right next to the Haynes Shoe House. There's also 2 abandoned power plants. There's the story behind the Point Rock Tunnel. There's the suicide that happened down that way from 1840 something. There's the story of Shanks Ferry Wildflower Preserve and why that's actually a preserve. And they're all in the area. But here's the problem that you run into, even when they're all in the area. Sometimes there's too many sites in an area, which is fine. That just means you make another visit. Other times, there are sites that you go to, and instead of it taking a half hour to an hour, which is best case scenario in recording and telling a story, it takes 3 or 4 hours. And then I also run into some health issues. I'll run into breathing issues, sugar issues, or bodily irritation issues where I get swelling due to adverse effects of my medications, my insulin, and, you know, so life will get in the way. And then I still have to make a 3 to 5 hour trip back because the money's not there for me to be staying overnight anywhere. There's no money for me to do that kind of stuff. So that's what interferes with those a lot of times. And then I also have other interesting responsibilities. Like, I don't know if you heard the jingles behind me. There's this lazy old dog, and there's another lazy old dog downstairs, and they need to get taken care of. And yeah, I guess I could have Lag Creations do it. Leslie could do it for me, but she likes to go on these adventures too. So there's life that gets in the way. It's not a real job, not by any means, or else I wouldn't be speaking to all of you the way I'm speaking with you now. So there's a lot of that, but here I'll give you a quick peek of what is still left in Pennsylvania. You ready? Here we go. Quick peek of what's still left in Pennsylvania. Oh boy, we're gonna make it fun. All right, I gotta hide a window. Sorry. I'll show you some of the secrets, but not all of the secrets. All right, here we got Google Earth. You ready? These are all different sites that are still waiting to happen right now. We'll zoom back out. And they're just the ones that I know will be awesome videos and awesome history tales. Let's see. Have I been someplace that has scared me? No, never, not even remotely. Unless scared means, so there's different kinds of scared. I don't want to be one of those people that redefines words. Ghosts? No, I'm not afraid of ghosts. Monsters? I'm not afraid of monsters. Gates to hell? Not afraid of it. Demons? Not afraid of it. People doing witchcraft? Would love to see it, love to witness it, and laugh at it, and be curious to it. Not afraid of it. That type of stuff doesn't scare me. When I had the heart attack on the mountainside, when I finally realized that I was not doing okay, and I was having difficulty soloing off of the mountain while sliding on my butt down the side of a mountain where I should have been walking, that scared me. And it scared me until I got my wits about me and said, well, there's nothing I can do but lay here and die or keep going. And then the scared was gone, and I just kept going. And I finally got back to the truck, drank a ton of water, rested a little bit longer, drove until I finally had cell signal, called my wife, told her what I was experiencing, what was going on, and successfully made it home. But for a short period of time there, I was worried that I was going to die on the side of the mountain without finishing something. And then I thought, well, what difference does it make? Which is probably why in some of the videos I have a nihilist attitude toward the good and the bad. There's nothing good about any of this. There's nothing bad about any of this. This is just the history of how it all goes. And I am a part of that history. And now I'm making videos telling you about that history, which makes me a history teller. So I'm like this old scribe who's retelling the stories that were captured a long time ago. Yeah, the 1,000 Steps episode. I'm sorry. I should do something about the squonk? You mean like on August 26th, go to Johnstown and hit the Squonkapalooza? It's on my schedule. Intent of the law. That's from you. The shoe house outside of Helm. I had missed that. Sorry about that, Girl Gamer Gear. But you do know that Squonkapalooza is at the same time of the Cook County Bigfoot Festival. Which way do you go? Is it the Bigfoot Festival or is it the Squonkapalooza? I can tell you which one I'm going to. No, I'm not going to tell you. Oh, let's see. Sweet. I was going to say 1,000 Steps. So yeah, in the 1,000 Steps episode, it had been 1 year since the heart attack. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And I went to do it. And from even before we got there, Leslie was like, no. And I was like, yes. And that goes back to, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And if I die along the way, I'm okay with that. So you should be okay with that too, because respect my wishes. I'm okay with that. I do a lot of things safely. There's nothing that I can think of that I've done in an unsafe manner. It might look that way on video. Trust me, it's not unsafe, the things that I do, except for maybe when I was jumping from one rock stack to another rock stack at the Pulpit Rocks. That, and then the camera made it look a lot worse than it was. It was a 5-foot gap onto two 10-foot 10-foot in diameter tops. So it wasn't, even if I slipped and fell, I'd slip and fall on the pad. I wouldn't slip and fall off to an untimely death. And if I did, hey, that makes good content too, right? Hey, not that the video would have made it to you. But I do things safely. I take care of myself. And when I was going up 1,000 steps, I probably pushed 200 steps further than I should have. And when I was doing that last set, when I actually say in the video, yeah, no, I'm done. Literally, I turned to Leslie and I said, I'm done. And she said, are you sure? And I just said, I'm done. I can't go another step. This isn't going to happen. And so I turned around and came back down the steps at that point. My body told me no. So I said, okay, no. So I came back down. Hero story, and no, I'm an anti-hero. Look up anti-hero. Find out what an anti-hero is. I'm the one that you need, not the one that you want. A friend of yours is running that. Oh, you're not gonna make it to Squonk. Game-A-Lot Con. So Leslie's being really nice, calling me obstreperous. If you're not familiar with the word obstreperous, it just means pig-headed. Okay, so yeah, Squonkapalooza is coming up really soon. I found out recently that there is no Thunderbird Palooza, no Thunderbird Fest. Maybe Scott's Odyssey needs to create the Thunderbird Festival. So yeah, that was pretty interesting to discover. I haven't done anything on Bigfoot yet, though, because it's Bigfoot. You say Bigfoot and yeah, your video is going to go viral, but you're going to get hit really hard and people are going to kick the stool out from underneath you. So I've been cautious about Bigfoot. Although I do live literally mile and a half. Is it about a mile and a half from Bray? About
maybe
a mile.
2 with the most.
Where one of the most interesting sightings of Bigfoot was in Pennsylvania. I should do a story on all of it. Okay, so here's another question. That's right. Goal oriented. Amen. Okay, here's a question. How do you guys like the direction that some of the shows have gone with the woo-woo? Although it's not woo-woo, but it might be woo-woo, but it's not woo-woo. Leaning in toward the giants. Leaning in toward the story of 7 Gates to Hell. Things that may or may not involve cryptids. How do you guys like the idea of that? I mean, I'm going to be doing a cryptid real soon here, but that event doesn't happen until August 26th, so the video won't be out until 1 or 2 weeks after that. Just like there's going to be a video, here's a secret. Oh no, he's going to give out more secrets. I put on Facebook and on YouTube community a question of anybody who might be going to the Blob Fest. You want to talk nerd? You want to talk you're a geek? If you're into the Blob Fest, you're a nerd. You're a geek. I'm into the Blob Fest. But the truck, the ball joint broke on the truck, so I couldn't go all the way down to Collegeville, to Phoenixville, to go to the 2023 Blob Fest, which I totally had planned out. the cool thing about the Blobfest is it was filmed at a particular theater, the Colonial Theater, right here in Pennsylvania. That's where the movie comes from, 1958. And well, I have to make a video about it. And it's neat that it still has a fan fanatical following to this day. And a bunch of people that are just making pocket money off of selling stupid stuff like, slime in a bowl. And, ooh, it costs $50 now because I put a sticker on it that says that this is the Blob, stuff like that. But it's still fan-based horror film, something I was really into. Still am really into. I'm gonna have to correct that. The texts come up and they disappear a little quickly. I'll have to fix that. All right, let's see. Thunderbird, Black Forest. Yes, Jim. The Thunderbird is Black Forest. Definitely. That's the #1 location. The other location is Renovo. I believe Renovo. But yeah, I wanna get into the Thunderbird one because that one's interesting. All right, Girl Gamer Gear says she loves woo woo. Do you guys love woo woo too, Mrs. Barney? Do you like woo woo? Woo woo meaning the stories of the really strange, supernatural and existential and cryptid and UFO. I guess I can't say UFO anymore, right? It's UAP. I hate saying UAPs, but things in those directions, stuff that you would find along the lines of X-Files and such. But I'm hardcore. I can't leave the fact of the channel being about history, and I have to have facts, I have to have truth, and I have to have location. Those are important. The North Pole came to PA. Yes, that's an exciting one. That was actually a great one. Renova. Northwest of Lock Haven. Yeah, the Pennsylvania Wilds is a weird location. When I think of the Pennsylvania Wilds based on where I am, I think of northwest, but they're actually north, west, and east, but not due north of me, which doesn't make sense. There's like a Bermuda Triangle for the Pennsylvania Wilds. Brian, really? You love that woo-woo stuff? You guys are all crazy. You're all crazy. That's why I love you. But it's even cooler when you get to, well, see, this is why I'm asking it. This is really important for me to identify. So fortunately or unfortunately, I speak truth to the best of my ability and with the best and clearest amount of the information that I'm provided. So when it comes to woo-woo, even though I could make it interesting and tell you woo-woo that would make you go woo, the reality of the situation is I will present to you the woo. Then we'll go into the woo-woo story. And then I'm going to slap you really hard with the facts. And I'll give you my opinion on it. And of course, when I give you my opinion, it's only a very short 1-minute speculation. And I really don't want any emphasis on my opinion of it. I just want to let you know where I stand so you don't ask where I stand. But I will hit you with the facts hard. And one of the downsides to that could be like a magic trick. When you see a magic trick, it's beautiful and it feels good because you were fooled. Even when you know that they told you they were going to fool you. When you learn how the magic trick is done and you fully understand how you were fooled, you will never get that back. You'll never get that little bit of happiness back. So that's why I'm trying to be careful with how I present woo-woo information to you, because I have to give you the truth and the facts after I give you the story. 7 Gates of Hell would be great if I were 20-something years old, like early 20s. I'd have been like, "Ooh, let's go into the dark. Gonna find the 7 Gates of Hell." I'd go out with a set of nods, night vision goggles. I would have a ball doing that. But at the same time, I knew nothing was there. I knew the real story. So I gave you the woo-woo And then I gave you the facts that there ain't nothing there, and it's just truly the purest form of urban legend. And I know that that actually upset a lot of people that watched the video. They were like, oh, such a letdown. Then there's other people leaving comments like, oh, no, I really saw a ghost out there. Yeah, you really saw a ghost. The PA Dutch powwow. Yes, that stuff is crazy. That is very, very crazy. And that's what I thought was really neat about the 7Gates to Hell story, because somebody actually went to the extent when they were creating the urban legend to say that they actually put what are they called again? The Dutch put them over their barns. Hexes. Actually put hexes and did religious ceremonies is what I had read. And I'm like, oh wow, they did powwow, or Dutch powwow, not to be confused with Native American powwow, which aren't called powwow, but we're not going to go into that here. But they did Dutch powwow, which is a weird, I'd call it like a, what would I call that? Take someone from Sweden, Norway, Denmark, maybe Austria, but not Germany. Take them, have them be very good, strong Christians, and then mix Santeria in with their religion, and you have a Dutch powwow. Girl Gamer Gear had ancestors who were practitioners of Dutch powwows. They were witches. Just remember, if they floated, then they weren't. They were witches. That's it. If they float, they were witches. If they drown, they were not witches. But they're still dead. Raptor, I don't disagree with the gullibility, but there are certain things that are lost in the innocence. And again, let's go back to, let's not make it an opinion based. I'm Generation X. By the time I was 13, I had seen so many blood and gore and horror movies that they became funny to me. They became comedies to me. We would go and sneak in, even when the ratings came out and it was like rated R. It's like, yeah, of course I'm 17. You're walking in, you're 13 years old. Of course I'm 17. They go, oh, okay, if you say so. They'd let you in anyway because you bought a ticket. And we'd go in and we would heckle the movies while we're in there. You know, you watch Friday the 13th. You got Jason walking around and he does something like he takes a tent spike and he puts someone onto a tree and hangs them up, making jokes going, I bet he got the point. You know, things like that. Somebody throws a Molotov and they catch fire. Hey, he's hot. All through it. So that's where I was by the time I was 13. But I understand that people today, a lot of people, they want to believe that stuff. So I don't want to be the one who's taking it away from them per se. Yeah, and I will take certain things away, like the Earth. Sorry, guys. It's a globe. It's a malformed globe. It's still a globe. It's not flat. There's scientific things that I'll go into, but I don't know if gullible is the word I would have used, although I think I'm gullible. Because you guys say that you like my stuff. I don't know. Vicky, I'm surprised. Vicky Burke, I'm surprised you like the woo-woo. I'm actually surprised by that. And if you go into a private chat with Vicky Burke and ask her if I'm funny in real life, she'll tell you that I am as serious as the heart attack I had on the side of the mountain. I'm a very serious person. There's no room for funny, no room for fun. There's no cynicism. I'm not cynical, and I am not sarcastic.
Right. I'm debating on whether I want to comment on that one.
Okay, you can be quiet back there. The only reason why Lag Creations is in this room right now is because my equipment got so hot that in order to do this broadcast, I actually put an air conditioner in just for this to cool everything down. It's still, you ready for this? It's still, there's a temperature. I gotta get it to the camera. You can't read it. All right, I can. It's still 78 degrees in here with an air conditioner that's been running for 8 hours. That's the only reason why she's in here.
That's right.
It was cooler before she came in. I'm just saying. Maybe she left the door open or something. And if it's not her, then it's one of them dogs. All right, let's wrap this up, guys. I remade a note for the benefit of my viewers to make sure I get some card decals out and we got to get deeper into the bobbleheads. And I really do think bobbleheads would be really cool. You know how to contact me. You've got my email. If you don't, you go to the About section on the channel. You do the little CAPTCHA thing. There's my email. Ta-da. You can reach me on Facebook. There's the Facebook page, which has the new Scott's Odyssey logo. And then there's the Odyssey of Scott, which is me directly. And I'm a lot looser with the things I say and the things I post. But you'll be in direct contact with me. That's not a Facebook page. That's the Facebook person. Although both of them pretty much have the same. I think Roger has a bobblehead problem.
He wants one.
Am I still recording?
Yes.
Anyway, so with that, I'm going to wrap everything up. You know how to reach out to me. You know how to get in contact with me. Let me know in the comments below after I kill this stream if you still like these live events or if you want these live events to continue on. I enjoy them. You guys weren't as chatty as normal, but that's okay. That's okay. I did all the talking. And trust me, even though my mom and dad told me I like to hear myself talk, I really don't. I found that out when I'm like when I'm in Adobe Premiere making these videos. I go, oh my gosh, how can you listen to that guy's voice? Holy cow. But I appreciate all of you for doing it. I'm doing these videos for me and for you. So you got to let me know what you want to see. You got to let me know what you want to hear. And if you like it, let me know. And if you don't like it, let me know. Give me some feedback. I'm just a normal person. I'm a little bit weird. But, you know, we weirdos, we got to stick together. I'm going to get a shirt that says Scott's Odyssey, the weirdo. Would you like that? Let me know in the comments below. As always. Oh, kids, get up here. I love all you guys. And I'll see you in the next video. I know you see my eyeballs looking over there because I gotta look over there to hit the end stream. See you later, guys.